Living Waters presents On the Box.
Good afternoon, everybody. Welcome. Why did you jump already? There's no reason to jump.
That's how much I'm filling the screen.
I didn't yell.
I'm huge.
Ooh. Whoa. Okay. Welcome to On the Box. Brad's in the house. Brad, it's so good to see you, man.
Yeah. No,
how are you?
I'm doing well.
What are you working on today?
I'm trying to finish off the Heart Changer Spanish version website.
Ah.
Yeah. I can't speak Spanish, but we have people here who can.
Yes, we do. Miguel Esparza, the Supreme Allied Commander of all things Spanish.
Yes.
Yes, and he's doing a great job.
Very good.
So when is that going to be done? 2 o'clock?
It'll be done today, but it won't be launched until January. So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Something else that's going to be going up on the probably both Heart Changer sites eventually, but certainly the English version to start is what we're calling 180 Day, something we're going to start after the first of the year, where we're going to pick one day a month to encourage people to get out there, get creative, to spread the word about 180. And so be looking at the heartchanger.com site often for more information about that. Also, coming January 28th at Kindred Community Church in Anaheim, California, we're doing something that we've never done before. We may never have to do again, not sure. Very, very special day. A one-day Ambassadors Academy. It's going to be completely free, which means it costs you nothing. And what we're going to do that day is we're going to we're going to record all of the training sessions that we do during the full day of training during the Ambassadors Academy. The reason we're doing that is we're working hard, realizing the times, the way the economy is, how difficult it is for people to get out here to Southern California to attend the Academy. We're putting together the Ambassadors Academy in a box. We're going to provide all of the resources for the Academy, very well put together videos by our production team of all the training sessions, articles on how to do your own Academy. We're going to provide all of that for free online so that we can get as many people trained as possible. But we would love for you to come on January 28th to be part of that one-day Academy. Certainly it's a great opportunity for a reunion for those who've attended the Academy before, almost 1,000 of you. Members of Kindred Church will be there, of course, and it's open to the public. We would love for you to come, be encouraged, be an encouragement to us as we effort to put this thing together. January 28th. You can go to livingwaters.com. Just look for the One Day Ambassadors Academy banner on the homepage and click on that to register. We'd like to know if you're coming. And again, it is free. Mark, how you doing today?
Oh, doing great. Kirk's in the house today, so
Kirk's
we've been.
In the house!
That actually brings us to the first question asked. Ray, Tony, do you take 5-hour energy drinks before the show?
I do. Now, okay, look, I don't drink coffee. I don't drink tea.
I do.
I don't drink soda.
That's all natural, that energy.
I don't drink energy drinks of any kind. I have lots of energy, I guess. I don't know.
Yeah.
You know what? I
volume.
don't really. I mean, you guys all work hard around here. I work hard around here. I'm actually very, 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 very tired.
Nice.
Yeah. So this is me tired.
That's you tired.
That's me tired.
All right, Tony. Here's a question that's directed right over to me. So let me just quickly try to answer that question. Hey, what's the difference between an apologist and an evangelist? Maybe you can mention that on the show today. Well,
tell us.
I will. Let me mention the difference. An evangelist specifically is one who equips the body to do the work of evangelism. So not everybody is an evangelist. An evangelist is one who's set up within the church to equip people to go out and share the faith. Now, an apologist is one who defends the faith. And there's a big difference. Apologist comes from the Greek word apologia, where you give a defense for, and you can give a defense for many different things. There's Mormon apologists, there's Catholic apologists, and there's Christian apologists. So if you're going to defend the faith, you're going to use, whether it be in terminology, Greek, Hebrew, or presuppositional apologetics is something that I personally approach and love the most when given a defense over more classical or evidential apologetics. So that's merely challenging one's worldview as to why they believe what they believe. If you're going to do evangelism, you're going to pull up the law and the gospel. If you're going to use apologetics, then you're going to go a little bit deeper. You're going to challenge their worldview or challenge some evidence, perhaps, that they use to debunk God. So there's the difference between apologetics and evangelism.
All right, great answer. And one of the sessions during the one-day free Ambassadors Academy is going to be led by Kirk Cameron, and he'll be discussing balancing apologetics with evangelism, which is has been a great encouragement to a lot of people. So, hey, we've got a whole bunch of guests in the studio today. They can applaud. They can stop. Look at that. Wow. We have Rick and Renita Rhodes along with their children. Now, not all the kids are in the studio. I think some of them were whisked away to parts unknown. But Ravon, Riley, Ramont, Reed, Rodney, Reggie, and Rylan, along with Ernest Whitmer and Asher and Christy Whitmer. Ernest has been going out with us to some of the local schools to help us with the 180 giveaway. And we also have Ben Thiebaud from Missouri, who's out here doing some work in his trade and missing his family, and so we're blessed that he gets to hang out with us for a little bit. We're glad all of you are here. Thank you very much, and they have received training before the show to laugh whenever they feel like it, so there you go.
Great.
They're not doing it now, though. More training is needed. All right. Yesterday's show. Did you watch yesterday's show, Brad? Did you catch it?
You know, I do watch every day, but yesterday I did miss.
Should be talking to the track master. He doesn't miss any shows.
No, he actually rewatches several of the past ones.
My kind of guy. Anyways, yesterday someone tried to prank us with a question using the lines from a Bobby Brown song.
Oh, yes. I did see that part.
Well, Daniel Comfort, the intrepid YouTube investigator, found this guy who did that, and he put up a video of the show segment saying that he tried to.
Oh.
Yeah, so that was fun.
Yes.
So I thanked him for adding a light moment to the show. But anyways, here's our first question. What would be your response in the following situation? You are standing in a large line to enter a building, and a Mormon or a Jehovah's Witness approaches the line and begins to open-air preach.
Wow.
Wow. I'd be, wow. I mean,
I've never seen.
I've never seen it.
No.
No. I mean, I've been castigated by Mormons and Jehovah's Witnesses, often citing, I think it's Matthew 6:5, where Jesus, warns not to stand on the street corners to pray, to be heard by men, and I have to keep telling them they're encouraged not to pray in public. It's not saying don't preach in public. But anyways, those two groups are the ones that tend to throw that at me. But I've never seen anyone open air preaching. But what if they did? You're standing in line at the movie theater with your 31 flavors in one hand, popcorn in the other, a hoagie in your shoulder.
Yeah.
What?
Well, I can imagine several reactions. One being kung fu.
Now, we're not advocating any violence to cultic open air preachers.
No, I would only think it. But
and we also encourage repentance on the program on a regular basis.
Actually, my first thought was, what would Mike Stockwell do?
Oh, I know what Mike Stockwell would do. Oh, if you don't know Mike Stockwell, you need to know Mike Stockwell. Mike Stockwell with
Cross Country Evangelism.
Cross Country Evangelism is his website. Mike's been a team leader for the Ambassadors Academy. Yeah. He is an itinerant open-air preacher, goes all around the world, sold his business a couple of years ago just to preach the gospel around the country, but he's gone all over the world to do it. Just a wonderful brother in the Lord. But, yeah, if anyone preaching other than the gospel started open-air preaching in a line he was in, they would walk away in about 5 minutes because they would be drowned out by his Whitfield-esque voice as he starts preaching.
Yes.
Would you do that?
I would think about that, and probably to the point where I would wait too long and I'd be in the building by the time I got the nerve to do it.
Okay. Mark, have you ever seen anything remotely close to that? I haven't.
No, I've never seen that, but I would absolutely love and welcome somebody to do that. If I were to see a Mormon, Jehovah's Witness, it really doesn't matter what worldview. It's not me against them. And I try to break down the walls when I do engage in a conversation with them. I have a lot of family that are Catholic or that are Mormon. And whatever it may be, hey, we can agree to disagree and we can go our way. So I would be the first one up at the heckler's mic, if they had one, or speaking up, and I'd say, hey, if I had 3 minutes to live, and I wanted to go to heaven, hey, what do I have to do in order to go to heaven? and I would just place it right back on them. And hopefully, Lord willing, I trust that the steps of a righteous man are ordered by the Lord, and God has caused our paths to come in contact that day, right? So I would love it. I'd be excited. I would thank him for having the courage of his conviction to come on out. I would even be on his side at the beginning there and say, hey, guys, what do you think of this person? He's out here. He has the courage of his conviction to be able to share what he believes to be truth. And then I might pull rank at that point as much as I possibly can. And I would say, hey, what exactly is your message? What are you sharing here today? How can these people gain everlasting life? And then allow them to paint themselves into a corner and try to take it over from there.
Yeah.
I love it. I absolutely love it.
Yeah. It would be very interesting to see. I mean, many Jehovah's Witnesses and Mormons have heckled open-air preachers.
Oh, yeah. Seen video of it.
Taking to the streets to do that themselves, that would be fascinating to watch. That was a great question. I saw that question. I thought, ooh, yeah, let's talk about that. We love getting your questions on the box at livingwaters.com. On the box at livingwaters.com. No one else knows this but me. We're going to do something different on Friday. We're going to do nothing but Q&A out of the chat room on Friday.
Oh.
So tell your friends. Make sure you're here for the show on Friday. And have your questions ready. Anything evangelism related. Anything regarding spiritual disciplines. That sort of thing. Have them ready. We are going to do the full show of nothing but chat room questions. I'm not even going to provide any backup material because I'm trusting that we're going to get tons and tons of questions on Friday. So,
hopefully not too hard.
Thank you, Brad, for that. Yeah. Thank you very much. Yeah. Well said.
Honesty.
Yeah. All right, let's take a look at Spurgeon Gold, book Ray wrote about 6 years ago. Charles Spurgeon wrote this regarding praying for the unsaved. If you really desire that men should be saved, pray for them. It is an empty wish, a mere formality, if you do not turn it into prayer. Every loving desire for any man or woman should, by the believer, be taken before God in prayer. We cannot expect that God will save men unless his people pray for it. There must be travail before the birth, and there must be travail in prayer with God before we can expect that many will be born again into the church of God. Oh, for more prayer. Let us cry to God in secret and in the family and in all our assemblies that God would save the sons of men. I could read Spurgeon all day long. Whenever we go out with Ray, anywhere, whether it's Cerritos College or Huntington Beach, 3rd Street, before we get going, 180 giveaway, before we get going, he always says, all right, should we pray or should we go out and do this in the flesh?
Yeah.
So what is prayer like for you for unbelievers, for your evangelism efforts? What does that look like?
Essential.
Okay.
Yeah. I mean, I think there have been times where I've failed to dedicate the prayer that I should have, and I don't know, how to see it, but I definitely could tell the difference. It seemed like the time I commit to prayer, affects my evangelism. But I was reading that quote earlier, I'm thinking, how do you add to that? But Spurgeon himself did, in a sense. He said that he would rather teach one man to pray than 10 men to preach. So,
wow! And considering he's known as the Prince of Preachers, he had his college where it was a requirement for budding pastors to go out and open air preach to graduate from the college. That's saying a lot.
Yeah. Definitely, I think we need to commit maybe much more time to prayer than we do out on the streets.
Mark, what do you think of that quote?
Oh, I love it. I mean, it's convicted, obviously. I was with a friend of mine. We went before a pastor who we really respected. And he said, hey, I'm trying to understand the role of prayer in evangelism and praying for my unsaved family. Specifically for my mom and my dad, he went on to say, I really want my mom and dad to be saved. It keeps me up late at night. I'm just torn by it. To which the pastor responded, and he said, do you pray for your mom and dad every single day without fail that God would reach in and save them? And he said, well, no. So, wow, I guess you really don't want your mom and dad saved that much, do you?
Wow.
And boy, my friend just put his hand over his mouth. What could he really say at that point? So the pastor went on to say, hey, look, God desires people to be saved. You desire your mom and dad to be saved. But it seems to me that you are trying to save them as opposed to God reaching down and saving them. And when you're not praying for your mom and dad, then you yourself are trying to save them and forgetting that salvation is an act of God.
Wow.
So we left with a very valuable lesson learned that day, that we need to pray more, intercede more for those that we love.
Yeah. Wow. Good word. What do I do when, after using the law and sharing the gospel, the person says the following: I don't care about anything you say. You're not going to change my mind. Thank you for sharing.
Well, I'd be glad of the fact that he actually let me get through the gospel before he got to that point. And I can only imagine that no matter what he says, that it's still with him.
Yes.
And I don't know what's going to go on with him after our time together. So I'm going to leave that up to the Lord. I'm going to say good luck with that, and I'm going to be praying for you.
Yeah, I would say the same thing. If usually this kind of response comes before you get through the gospel, not all the way through the gospel. But I would agree with you. If someone responds like that after hearing the gospel, the likelihood is there is some kind of conviction going on. And people will often mask conviction that's going on inside their heart with anger or resentment or even boredom or mockery or something like that, doing anything to cover with their face or with their lips what's going on inside their heart. But, if anyone ever says to you, look, I don't want to talk to you about this, dust off your feet, move on, be polite, be respectful, and go find someone who the Lord has already prepared to hear the law and the gospel. But you're not going to argue anybody into the kingdom. You're not going to use the law as a hammer. We're supposed to use it as a mirror, and you're not supposed to use the gospel as a baseball club, right?
Right.
And so, but if they don't want to hear it, you ought not be casting your pearls before swine. Mark, what do you think about that?
Absolutely. If somebody doesn't want to receive what I have to say, then I say, hey, well, thank you so much for listening to me. Give it some thought and try to leave them with a track. If not, then I don't give them a track and I just kind of go my way. There's only so much that you can do. But if they receive the law and the gospel up to that point, well, then that's great. And that was a fruitful encounter.
That's right.
We can't mistake fruit as being somebody who gets born again or who wants to get right with God when you're done speaking. As long as you're faithful, there's going to be fruit that's going to abide there. Somebody once said, how many people have you led to the Lord? To which we respond, all of them. And what God does with them at that point is up to him. So we are faithful with the message, and we trust that God's going to bring forth the results, the author and the finisher of our faith. So.
Yeah, I was going through the Evidence Bible the other day, came across this great quote by William Gurnall. Quote, we fear men so much because we fear God so little. One fear causes another. When man's terror scares you, turn your thoughts to the wrath of God. End quote. Fear of man, I think, is probably one of the, if not the biggest hindrance to people being out there sharing the gospel. And I think ultimately that fear of man also translates into a self-love. We're actually more concerned about ourselves. We love ourselves more than what's going to happen, eternally speaking, to that lost person in front of us. I think every one of us, all of us, would agree that we struggle with
definitely.
the fear of man, especially when it comes to evangelism. How do you deal with it?
Well, I try to let my compassion, compel me to overcome my fears and, realize, how much God has done to save me. How can I withhold this from anybody else? But even with that in mind, I still have a struggle to reach out to people, and especially people wearing suits. I don't know what it is. A guy wearing a three-piece suit intimidates me.
Really?
Yeah. Everybody's got that.
Is it like an intellectual thing that you think they're smarter, or?
Yeah, it might be. I don't know, but it seems
what
like
about guys in uniforms? What do they do to you?
No, I grew up as a military brat, so I definitely like to talk to men in the military. Yeah, I think people feel drawn to certain people and propelled by others, but just the same.
So have you ever had someone in a suit come up to a heckler mic?
No, I can't say I have.
Okay, so it's an unrealized fear.
Or
do you avoid those people when you're really?
I'll see one, and
interesting.
But. Knowing that, sometimes I think it makes me want to try to overcome that and actually purposely reach out to somebody that fits that mold that I fear more.
Now, Mark, you're as squared away as they come. Do you ever battle fear out there when you're doing evangelism?
I do. There's a certain type of people that I avoid, and those people are girls. I tend not to approach women when I want to evangelize. But I'll never forget an illustration that Ray shares in How to Get on Fire for God. And he says, I'm hearing music in the background.
That was Eddie! Turn it down!
All right, so this is the illustration. The illustration is, hey, would you be willing to put your fear on hold for a moment if you knew you were going to be given $1,000 for every person that you gave a gospel tract to or you engaged on a one-on-one conversation with? Would you be willing to share? Yeah, boy, I would swallow my fears so quickly. And Ray goes on to share that, hey, if you knew you were going to be given $1,000 for every person you engaged in a conversation with, we would be involved in 5 a.m. evangelism wake-up calls, right?
Yeah.
So the alarm clock goes off, we grab our pen, our paper, and our calculator, and we immediately go hit the streets. It doesn't matter if they accept or reject the message, we are gaining money, right? So he says, hey, isn't this interesting? That you would be willing, for the love of money, put your fear on hold when you can't do it for the love of God. And then the Bible says, hey, no one can serve two masters, right? You'll either love the one and hate the other, or you'll hate the one and you'll love the other.
Yeah.
So we need to be willing to do for the truth, right, what cultists do for a lie. And that's what Walter Martin said many years ago. So we need to be willing to do for the truth what the cults do for a lie. So,
it still surprises me that people will often say, when I tell them that we get nervous, you get nervous? It surprises me that people think that, I don't know if it's just because of watching the television show or this program or videos of us preaching or being out there with us, that they think we're not nervous. But if you're ever out with me when I'm open air preaching and I'm going to be standing up on a box, it's almost ritualistic what I do. I always have a Bible with me because I preach from a passage of Scripture usually. But the right foot will go up on the box, and then I'll open up my Bible. And I already know what passage I'm preaching from, but I'll be flipping through my Bible, and it looks very spiritual, but I'm praying, asking for courage to get the left foot up on the box, because the gravitational pull seems to be so great on that left foot, because I'm nervous. I'm shaking on the inside the first several moments every time I open air preach, and then that starts to subside. But I thank God for that. Because if I were to go, and I've done it before, I've made the mistake of getting up on the box, being completely confident in my ability to do what I was about to do. And the Lord very graciously disciplined me with a train wreck of an open air, with an angry heckler, threw me off my game, so to speak, and I was fumbling over my words. And it was during that I realized that, wow, you know what? I was completely trusting in my own ability and own strength to do this, not trusting in the Spirit of God, and He let me experience the consequences for that. So I'm thankful for that nervous because it causes me to pray more, and it causes me to put more trust in His ability to use me than my ability to do anything good for Him. So.
Ray said it. You just said it, but that's what I rely upon as well. I heard Ray once say that a nervous man is a praying man. If you're not nervous, you find this self-sufficiency within yourself to be able to answer questions, to go out in your flesh, to be able to do what only God can do, and that is reach the people and love them the only way that God can love them. So a nervous man is a praying man. So when you're nervous, you find yourself praying.
All right, we're going to go back to a question that we have answered several times. The fact that people keep asking this question tells me there's something really important we need to do with the show. We've got about 240 episodes that are online on YouTube, LightSource, OnePlace, Ustream, various places. And we have never taken the time to catalog all of those episodes as far as laying out what the content is for those episodes. We are way too busy to do that here at the ministry, so I'm calling for your help. If you would like to help us, and it would require getting a group of people to watch all of the shows, all 240 of them, so we break it up. If we get a dozen people or so, maybe that's, do the math, that's, 10 videos, 20 videos per person, 20. Thank you for doing the math for me. Thank you. But email us at onthebox@livingwaters.com if you would like to help out with that very important project. onthebox@livingwaters.com if you would like to help us catalog the content of all the shows we've done and then be able to keep going with that as we do more shows in the new year. You're bored? Are you bored?
I always wanted to do that to the third.
Is this an oh shiny moment? All right. So anyways, the question we've been asked many times is this. Any advice on witnessing one-on-one in hospital waiting rooms? Now, you had an opportunity to be in the hospital, not for yourself.
No, no. Actually, I wasn't there for that.
Oh,
I know what you're talking
what
about.
What a blow it. I can't believe it.
Yeah,
I'm sorry.
No, I only got to go to the hospital to pick my wife and daughter up.
All right, anyways, all of us as fathers have been in hospitals from one time or another. Kirk Cameron's in the studio! Holding up funny signs behind the camera. Not distracting me, though. Anyways, we've all had opportunity to be in hospitals either as patients or visiting people or there with family members. And hospitals are an interesting place to try to do evangelism. Have you ever had an opportunity to do that?
I avoid hospitals probably as often as I can. I'm not one who likes to go to the doctor. I mean, I had opportunity to go to the doctor, and I avoided it with my back and everything. But I imagine it's not much different than any other circumstance. If you're in a waiting room or on an airplane, it's the same thing. You try to engage the people around you, offer a track, pretty much the same opportunity, really.
Yeah. I would set phasers to stun anyone who has their cell phone on in the studio. I would say that it is a little bit of a different situation because, like you, who don't want to go to the hospital, I would hazard to guess that most people, unlike a plane or other situations, most people are in that environment not wanting to be there. They are either worrying about other people, worrying about their own condition, and so you got to be careful. You got to be careful. You got to be sensitive to what these people are potentially going through. I mean, I wouldn't start a conversation in a hospital waiting room or an emergency room with, "What do you think's going to happen to you when you die?" I wouldn't start that. In fact, we've suggested before offering to pray for people in that situation. Hey, I'm a Christian. I'm here with a family member. I'm waiting like you. Can I be praying for you in any way?
Right.
And they may say, "No, leave me alone. I don't want to be bothered." Leave them alone and don't bother them. Right. Or they may open up and say, "Yeah, my loved one just had a heart attack, and that'd be great if you could pray for them." Do that, and then you're now in a position where you can ask the person, do you have any particular spiritual beliefs? Maybe a less in-your-face question than what's going to happen to you when you die, and be sensitive and be a listener. There's a reason why God has given us 2 ears and only 1 mouth. We should be better listeners than speakers. And certainly in a situation like that where people are worried, grieving, fearful, anxious, listen to what they have to say. Don't let them walk away from the conversation thinking that you were just trying to make another notch in your spiritual belt. But show compassion, care about them, love them as Christ has loved us, and look for an opportunity to tactfully, but yet biblically, without compromise, sharing the law and the gospel with people in that situation. All right, we are way out of time. We want to thank you for joining us. We want to thank our studio audience as well for being here today. Until tomorrow, be encouraged, strengthened, and unafraid. Proclaim the gospel.
You're full of it! Living Waters presents On the Box.